Good morning. This is Alexis Parker, sitting in with Giovanni Gallucci and Chloe Dawn, and this is the Daily Trend Report.
Morning, Alexis.
Morning. I've had the air conditioner running since Tuesday, and I'm still losing.
I spent last night scanning old show negatives from a Chicago club that closed in 2019. Nothing makes you appreciate a cold room like a flatbed scanner.
That's a fair trade. Let's get into it.
Today, what the World Cup just proved about paid versus organic. A $10 billion food company naming its own complexity as the enemy, and the brands that got their audience to make the content for them. Kendall's report pulled a Media Post piece from yesterday that I can't stop thinking about. The biggest brand moments of this tournament weren't brand moments at all. The Dutch supporters did a left-right sway in the stands. Somebody called it the Viking Row, and it hit 172 million views on TikTok. One section of a stadium.
And nobody paid for it.
Nobody paid for it. Meanwhile, the same reporting notes that the stadium naming rights mostly went unsaid on the broadcast, because the announcers just refer to the venues by city.
Wait, so you buy a stadium name and then the people describing the stadium on television don't say it?
You buy a name and the broadcast calls it Dallas.
That's a lot of money for a word nobody says out loud.
Here's what I want operators to take from it, and it isn't the easy version. The easy version is everybody piles onto the fan moment. Go find the Viking Row clip, stitch it, put your logo in the corner. 10,000 brands did exactly that this week, and every one of those posts looked the same.
So what's the harder version?
Be useful while the attention is up. When a moment spikes, there's a giant crowd of people who don't know what they're looking at. They want to know what that is, where it came from, how to do it, where to watch the next one. Almost nobody makes that. Everybody's too busy trying to be in the photo.
Which is a completely different job than jumping on the trend.
It's the opposite job. Riding the moment means you're competing with everyone for the same 3 seconds. Serving the moment means you're the only one answering a question a lot of people are actively asking. And the second thing you get out of it's the crowd remembers who helped them, which the logo in the corner never does.
9 figures buys you adjacency. It doesn't buy you the moment.
It buys you proximity to something somebody else made for free. That's the whole tell. Those supporters spent nothing and outdrew the sponsorship class by an order of magnitude. And the only thing you can't buy is the vantage point. You were there or you weren't.
I keep thinking about how the sponsorship math is supposed to work, though. Somebody signed off on that number.
Somebody signed off on it in a room where the deck said guaranteed impressions. And guaranteed impressions is a real thing. I'm not saying sponsorship is stupid. I'm saying it buys a floor, and the ceiling belongs to whoever people actually want to watch. A stadium section beat the entire paid class this month, and the stadium section didn't have a media plan.
And they weren't trying to sell anybody anything.
Which is why it moved. The crowd wasn't producing content, they were having a time, and somebody pointed a phone at it.
Small brands actually have that. You're standing behind your own counter every day.
That's the asset. Nobody else has your angle. A sponsorship puts your name near the action. Your own camera puts you inside something no check can reproduce. 3 things you can actually do today. 1. Next time a moment spikes in your category, don't co-sign it. Answer it. Post the plain explanation of what it's and how it works before anybody else bothers.
2. Shoot from the spot only you can stand in. Your counter, your loading dock, your booth at the market. That angle isn't for sale, which is exactly why it travels.
3. Build a response kit now. 3 post shells sitting in a folder so you can ship inside the hour instead of scheduling a meeting about it.
Eddie's report has this on the earnings call from Wednesday. Conagra's new chief executive, John Brase, gets on with Wall Street and says the organizing principle for the whole company going forward is radical simplicity. His words. He said complexity is one of the biggest barriers to growth.
How many products do they have?
Roughly 5,500. They're going to slim that down before they even decide what to sell off. And this is on the back of a $1.92 billion loss for the fiscal year. They cut the dividend in half.
Cut the dividend in half and told shareholders to be patient. That's a rough Wednesday.
They also raised advertising and promotion spend 14%, which is the part that got me. Simplify the portfolio, spend more telling people about it.
That's the honest read of what they think went wrong. It isn't that they made bad food, it's that nobody could tell what they stood for across 5,500 things, so they're cutting the list and buying volume on what's left.
So the biggest company in the aisle just announced that having too much stuff is the problem.
Sit with that a second. A $10 billion food company stood up in front of its own investors and said our complexity is killing us. Every independent producer with 6 ingredients and 1 co-packer has been living that thesis for years, except they weren't doing it as a strategy. They were doing it because they couldn't afford anything else.
And now it's the thing the giant wishes it had.
It's the thing the giant is paying consultants to get back to. You can't buy your way to simple. You can only refuse your way to it, one product at a time, for years.
There's a trap here though, right? Because when they cut thousands of products, that shelf space opens up.
It opens up and it usually goes to the second biggest player, not to you. Don't read a portfolio cut as an invitation. That's a buyer conversation, not a gift.
So what does a small brand actually do with this news? Because my instinct is to just quote him. Put his sentence on a graphic.
Your instinct is what everyone else's instinct is, and by Monday that quote will be on 400 graphics. Here's the sharper move. Everybody in food posts launches. Nobody posts the opposite. Go public with the product you decided not to make.
The thing you killed.
The thing you killed. The flavor that tested fine and you shelved anyway. The line extension your distributor asked for and you said no to. Show the sample, say why it didn't earn a spot, and let people watch you subtract in real time. That's the single most counter-programmed post you can publish in a week when the largest company in your aisle just admitted it can't stop adding.
It also just reads as more honest than any clean label badge.
Because anybody can add a claim to a label. Almost nobody will tell you what they turned down. And here's the part that makes it content instead of a one-off. It's a series. There's always another no.
Okay, 3 moves before we move on.
1. Publish an anti-launch. 1 product you killed. 1 honest reason. 1 photo of the thing nobody's ever going to buy.
2. Make your entire lineup readable in 4 seconds. 1 pinned grid, everything you make, nothing you don't. If a shopper can't take it in at a glance, you're carrying complexity you haven't noticed yet.
3. Post the cost of staying small. Our version takes longer and makes less. Here's the actual math. People trust the number more than they trust the adjective.
Eddie tracked what brands actually shipped in the last 7 days, and there's a pattern in it that I want to name because it separates the work that compounds from the work that evaporates.
Give me the examples first.
3 of them. Yeti launched a brand platform with Wyden and Kennedy out of Portland on Thursday. And the mechanic is that they take their block logo and rebuild it into 4-letter words for whatever people are into. Whole system is a fill in the blank.
So the audience can just make their own.
The audience can make their own, and that's the point. They built a template and handed out the pen. There's real risk in it, by the way. Their hunting and fishing corps can absolutely read this as the brand leaving them for a bigger market. And that's a fair worry.
Second one.
Maker's Mark, same day. They commissioned an artist named Alexandra Pacula to do city-inspired labels, and the bottles only exist in airport retail. 1 design per city, you can't get it anywhere else.
So finding, it's the flex.
Finding it's the flex. Every traveler who spots one takes the photograph because the photograph proves they were somewhere. That's a label redesign generating an endless supply of pictures they didn't shoot and didn't pay for.
And the third?
Fireball put out sneakers with a compartment built to hold their flask. Smirnoff Ice made a crossbody bag shaped like a hot dog that holds the bottle, which sounds like a joke until you notice both objects have a job.
The compartment is why somebody actually carries it.
That's the difference between merch people buy and merch people get given at a trade show. Give the object a function tied to your product, and the buyer photographs it for you. Now hold all 3 of those against the 4th thing in the report. Coffee Mate ran a summer campaign built around a reality television personality.
No native connection to the product.
None that I can find. And the audience for reality personalities is the single most fluent audience alive at spotting a media buy in costume. Compare the spend on that against the Yeti template or the airport label, which cost a design fee.
To be fair, Coffee Mate is trying to expand when people use the product, and a personality is a fast way to reach an audience you don't have.
It's a fast way to rent one. And renting is fine if you know that's what you're doing. The problem is it ends the day the campaign ends, and you've got nothing left on the shelf but an invoice. The Yeti template is still working next March. The airport label is still working in every terminal.
So what's the actual line between them?
The first three hand the audience a job. The fourth hands the audience an ad. Every one of those winners is a device, not a post. You build the thing once and it keeps producing without you because somebody else is doing the making. That's the whole game right now, and it's the one place a small brand competes even, because a template and a label redesign don't cost what a celebrity costs.
Here's what to actually do with all of that.
1. Build one device your audience can finish. A frame, a lockup, a blank they fill in. Post yours empty and let them complete it.
2. Make one thing that only exists in one place. One market, one shop, one weekend. Scarcity tied to a location turns every customer who finds it into your photographer.
3. If you're making an object, give it a job connected to what you sell. A logo on a tote is a giveaway. A thing that holds your product is a distribution channel.
That's the show. If your team is producing content that disappears the day it posts, that's a build problem, not an effort problem. I do content strategy and production for brands that need the whole stack. Short-form video, carousels, articles, the works, built so it keeps paying out after the week it ships. gallucci.net or DM at galluccinet on Instagram or LinkedIn.
Talk tomorrow.